Captain Jake Morrison had seen strange things during his 15 years exploring the Outer Rim territories, but nothing quite like the crystalline spires of Velthera Prime. The planet's twin suns cast an ethereal glow across the elvish city, where graceful towers twisted skyward like frozen music. Beside him, his communications officer, Lieutenant Emma Walsh, adjusted her translator unit, her pointed ears twitching with nervous energy. "The readings are off the charts, Captain," Emma reported, her voice carrying the melodic accent common among Earth's elvish populations. "This civilization is at least 3,000 years more advanced than anything we've encountered." Jake nodded grimly. The Terran Federation had sent their best diplomatic team to establish first contact with the Velthari Empire, but intelligence suggested these aliens had conquered 17 star systems in the past decade. Their technology remained a mystery, their intentions unclear. The massive gates of the royal palace opened with a sound like singing crystal. Hundreds of Velthari nobles lined the approach, tall, elegant beings with skin that shimmered between silver and gold, their large eyes reflecting the light like mirrors. They wore flowing robes that seemed to move independently of any breeze. Queen Lyrelith emerged from the palace entrance, her 7-foot frame draped in robes that shifted color with each step. Ancient symbols floated in the air around her, glowing with soft blue light. Her retinue included beings that clearly held positions of immense power. Their very presence made the air hum with energy. Jake had expected many things from this first contact. Hostility, perhaps. Curiosity, certainly. Diplomatic posturing. Without question, he had not expected the most powerful ruler in 3 sectors to take one look at him and immediately drop to one knee. The entire Velthari court followed suit in perfect synchronization, thousands of beings bowing as one. The silence stretched on for heartbeats that felt like hours. Emma's hand moved instinctively toward her sidearm, before Jake caught her wrist with a subtle gesture. Queen Lyrelith rose slowly, her mirror-like eyes never leaving Jake's face. "When Bidi," she spoke. Her voice carried harmonics that the translator struggled to render into human speech. "Blessed ancestor," she said, the words emerging with reverence that bordered on worship. "We have waited 3 millennia for your return to us." Jake felt his blood turn to ice. "I think there's been some mistake, Your Majesty. I'm Captain Jake Morrison of the Terran Federation. This is our first meeting." The Queen's expression grew troubled, but not surprised. "You do not remember us, do you, child of Earth?" She gestured to the assembled court. "Look upon your legacy and tell me you feel nothing." Something in her tone made Jake actually look, really look, at the Velthari around him. Their bone structure, now that he studied it carefully, seemed familiar in a way that made no sense. The way they held themselves, the proportions of their limbs, even the basic arrangement of their features. "Impossible," Emma breathed beside him. Queen Lyrelith approached with steps that barely disturbed the air. 4,000 years ago, your people came to us. Not as conquerors, but as teachers. We were a dying race, our world poisoned by war and neglect. Your ancestors showed us how to heal our planet, how to reach for the stars, how to become more than we ever dreamed possible." She paused before a crystalline pillar that suddenly blazed to life, projecting holographic images into the air between them. Jake watched in stunned silence as scenes unfolded. Humans in environmental suits working alongside primitive versions of the Velthari, sharing technology, building the first crystal cities together. "But your people were few," the Queen continued, "and ours were many. Over the generations, we became something new, part Velthari, part human, evolved beyond either parent race. We kept your stories, your histories, your genetic markers. We became your children, inheriting both your wisdom and your greatest gift." "Which is?" Jake managed to ask. Queen Lyrelith smiled, and for a moment her alien features looked almost human. "Hope. The absolute, unshakable belief that tomorrow can be better than today. That broken things can be repaired. That enemies can become friends. That exploration and discovery matter more than conquest and domination." She gestured to the city around them. to the advanced technology that hummed with quiet efficiency. Everything we built because your ancestors taught us to dream of something greater. Every world we visit, we offer the same choice. They offered us partnership, growth, healing, not submission. Jake felt the weight of 17 conquered systems suddenly reframe itself in his mind. The star systems you've taken? We have taken nothing, Queen Lyrelith said firmly. We offered aid to dying worlds, just as your people once aided us. Some accepted, some did not. Those who joined us prospered. Those who chose isolation were left in peace. Emma stepped forward, her scientific training overriding her diplomatic caution. The genetic markers you mentioned, how much human DNA do your people carry? 37%, the Queen replied without hesitation. Enough to remember, enough to honor the debt we owe, enough to recognize our cousins when they return. To us? Jake looked out over the assembled court, seeing them now with new eyes. These weren't aliens who happened to resemble humans. They were literally humanity's children, grown beyond recognition but carrying the core of what made humans human. Why bow to me? He asked quietly. I'm not your ancestor. I'm just a ship, captain from a world you've probably never heard of. Queen Lyrelith's smile widened. Because you came here in a ship called Pathfinder, captained by someone named Morrison, accompanied by an elf named Walsh. Because your ship broadcasts the same friendship codes your ancestors taught us 4 millennia ago. Because when you saw an advanced alien empire that could have destroyed your vessel before you knew we existed, you came anyway to talk rather than fight. She spread her arms wide. Because you are exactly what our oldest stories said you would be when you returned to us. Curious, brave, hopeful, and utterly convinced that strangers can become family. Jake looked at Emma, seeing his own wonder reflected in her elvish features. Humanity had always spread through the galaxy, making friends, building bridges, turning enemies into allies through sheer stubborn optimism. Apparently, they had been doing it longer than anyone realized. Your Majesty, Jake said carefully, I think we need to have a very long conversation about shared history and future cooperation. Queen Lyrelith laughed, a sound like crystal bells. Welcome home, ancestor. We have so much to show you. As the Felthari court rose from their bow, Jake realized this wasn't just first contact. This was a family reunion 4,000 years in the making.